We still don't have a name.
Yeah. Do you have a name idea?
No.
We have not thought of a name of the podcast yet. Welcome back to the podcast. This is
Episode number 2.
Yeah. Go for
We
it.
have a special guest today, Tracy Miller.
Hello.
How are you today?
Good.
Thank you for joining us.
I'm excited about Tracy being here. This is Tracy's one of my favorite people in the world, so it should be easy talking.
Why don't you know more about his who he is and why he's here and all that? Maybe give a little introduction.
Well, why don't you tell us?
Yeah.
Big Corvette guy.
Corvette guy.
Yeah, you love your Chevys. You love your Corvettes. You got, what models do you have?
I've got 2 C5s, 2 C4s, 2 C6s, and a C8.
Okay.
7.
Yeah.
You need another C8 to round that out.
I need a C7, that way I can get it a little straight.
Yeah. You've got, obviously you're big on performance. You like to soup some stuff up. You like to do you got a couple of really nice. You got ZR1. What year is ZR1?
2013.
2013.
It's an anniversary edition. So.
Yeah, that thing is bad to the bone. What a roundabout horsepower, torque?
750 to the wheel.
Okay.
Yeah, that means business.
Enough to have fun. Enough to have fun for sure. Tell us about. I guess the easiest way to start out is you decided. God, it was probably 4 years ago to build a race car.
Started with my Grand Sport. I was going to go the custom car show type route. Put different colored calipers on it, upgraded the rotors, put a cam in the car, headers, everything like that. Really looked good, custom black Corvette. And then I went to the track and that was all it wrote.
Yeah.
Went to a car show in Dallas, Lone Star Corvette Club there in Dallas, and they was holding everything at Texas Motor Speedway. And Texas Motor Speedway has a small little road course.
Kind of a road course, yeah.
In the infield, and it was a free track day there, so we got down there and went crazy, and it bit me hard.
Yeah. Then you came back from there, that's the car that you started autocrossing, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So started in the autocross stuff. And then it was, what was it, probably 3 years ago or so, you started really kind of planning on the...
About 2.5 years ago,
Yeah.
started planning, and...
'Cause you started kicking ideas off of me. You started talking sequential transmissions. It was back when we were doing the transmission, I think, on your Firebird.
Yeah.
So that was probably all of 3 years ago that you started kind of kicking around the idea, and then went into full race car mode.
Yeah, full race car mode. It's definitely full effort.
Yeah. So you started off, and I guess basically just had the plan that you wanted to build a race car that you wanted to build. You didn't really have any direction or any. You knew you wanted to build a race car, and you knew how you wanted to build it, and kind of started off with
Yes. Yes. Ego built the car.
Tell us about that car.
Okay, well, it's 2010 Grand Sport, and went in, and like I said, it's max effort. LS7 engine is fully prepped, Callie's crank rods, Rodix heads, high compression, a little over 12 to 1, ethanol engine, Got a 6XD sequential shift transmission, modified torque tube to fit that transmission, and then it's what puts the power to the ground is a Winter's quick change rear end.
And then
And full cage, or not full cage, it's spec racing spec Corvette.
So what made you decide to start with a Grand Sport? Like, why did you choose that as your base?
That's the one that I had.
Okay. that was the one you were okay turning into a Frankenstein.
Yeah. And I liked it, you know, there's different schools of thought out there. You know, the Z06 platform, that's an aluminum frame car. Mm-hmm. And I just had a hard time wrapping my head around aluminum frame car.
Curious, why is that?
Well, it's heard stories about them leaving the track and getting a little tweaked and everything. And so I did think about getting a Z06 and you know, and going that route, but I decided to stay with the Grand Sport.
So the Grand Sport's a steel frame?
Yeah.
I didn't realize that there was actually a difference in the framing between the two.
Yeah.
And who did the aluminum frame? There was Z06 and what else?
Z06 and ZR1.
ZR1. Okay, and then the rest of them were all steel frames. Yeah. I always get that mixed up. For some reason, I always think it's the Grand Sport and the Z06.
And the car has Penske shocks on it, double adjustable.
And then you're using what, AP brakes?
AP brakes.
Yeah.
Mantic clutch, dual clutch.
Yeah.
Dual.
And then with the sequential, you're just basically, I guess for the people that don't know what a sequential transmission are, I didn't kind of think about that.
I in theory, I understand what it is, but yeah, explain the benefits and how that works.
Sequential transmission is, in a way, a manual. You're starting, stopping with a clutch. Once you get it in gear, yours does it all through electronics, where you, as soon as you pull up on the lever, it cuts, just split second, cuts that engine, just takes enough RPM out of it that it changes the gear, I don't want to say flawlessly, but effortlessly. You know, it unloads the engine just enough for that gear change, and then you're back into it. You don't have to. Do you blip your throttle?
It's set up to blip.
It's set up to blip. You can kind of set it up either way to where you can just keep it matted and go through it, which is more of I'd say that's more of a drag race thing than anything.
Well, I mean, you know, I don't have to lift. I'm shifting gears going down main straight or something like that. I don't have to lift. I'm just grabbing the handle and
you just grab and go.
Pulling. Yeah. And the same way on downshift, get ready to downshift, just push, and it rev matches, just bam.
So in terms of the actual gear shift, you're literally just going forward or back.
Yes.
There's no
H pattern. It's just
You're not grabbing gears. You're pulling back to upshift, pushing forward to downshift.
So that's very similar to what's in a Lamborghini Aventador, isn't it?
I don't know what the Aventador.
They call it a robot. It's a single clutch. They call it a robotizing manual, which is manual transmission, but it's got a computer doing it.
Okay.
So same exact thing, basically.
That, and I think the Aventador still has paddle shift, doesn't it?
Yes.
Okay, so you're.
But if you drive an automatic, it's going to be the worst experience of your life.
Yeah, but I think all of your gear shifting on that paddle shifted, or is it? Can you shift with the shifter as well?
No, it's all paddle. It's
all paddle.
There's nothing in the middle.
See, and that's the I guess the main difference is you're on your Aventador, you're more into the electric shifting. It's cutting and grabbing gears electronically, where his is more. I'd say it's more of a mechanical shift.
Yeah, it's mechanical shift. I mean, there's a shift rod in it that long from the shifter to the transmission. I mean, and it.
But you're not having to push in the clutch every time you shift?
Just use the clutch to get it moving, and that's it.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
So he still has a third pedal.
Yes.
Still
Yeah.
has a third
Still has a
pedal.
third pedal. And then explain that. Explain. I think to me being a racer all my life. Explain the Winters setup, because that's a awesome setup.
Well, the winner's setup is I can if I was to go into a strange or go into a track that I haven't never been to, and I get the car out there and I find out that I may be a little short in gear or maybe a little long in gear, I can sit there and change the gears out in about 15 minutes.
You just pull one cover off the back. It's, what is it, 4 bolts on the back?
6.
6?
Yeah.
6 bolts on the back through a little access cover, and just pull your gears out, put new gears in, done. You've changed your rear end gears. So that is cool stuff. And then you've got, I guess what's different about it to me than most race cars is you have your factory dash in.
Yeah. The rules that I plan on competing under require a factory dash or require a dash.
Yeah.
I can put a carbon fiber dash in there if I wanted to, but the weight savings versus dollar, it's not worth it.
Yeah. So it's, I mean, you got, I'm trying to think of some of the other cool features that it's got. Cool shirt.
Yep, cool shirt.
No, you got no AC anymore, no heater
AC.
anymore, no nothing like that anymore. So, correct me if I'm wrong, basically the cool shirt is a big ice chest in the back that pumps fluid through basically a shirt that's got little tiny hoses in it.
Okay.
That's what keeps you cool.
I'll put a little sock up in my helmet too.
Yeah.
Keep me cool.
So, that is not tested yet
No.
on whether or not it's going to be cool enough in Texas summer. Trying to think of some of the other cool stuff you've got. Lexan windows all the way around.
Yeah.
What's your dry weight on it?
I can tell you my race weight is 3,400 pounds.
And that compared to the stock is
With everything,
500-pound weight?
I lost about 300.
3? Okay.
Yeah.
That's a lot less than I thought you would have lost.
Yeah, I guess I thought it would be a lot more.
Yeah. Well, I
Well,
pulled everything
roll
out and then put a
cage.
roll cage in,
Yeah.
and
You're running like Sparco seats.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's crazy. That, I guess, if you look at it in safety perspective, it's to be that safe of a car. You added a lot of safety features to the point that it's still safe to drive. It's safe to essentially crash, and and you still have and you're still a lot lighter than stock. I mean, it's not a great deal lighter than stock, but if you just put a roll cage in a stock car, you're probably, what's that roll cage weigh? Probably,
I don't know. They didn't weigh it whenever it was loose on on the pallet. So
yeah, I'd have to 250 pounds probably.
I don't think it'd be that much.
You don't think so?
No.
I don't ever think anything's going to weigh as much as it does until I start welding everything together, and then I'm like, holy crap, this thing's a tank.
That's 120 wall tubing. I don't know what that weighs per foot.
Did they do your roll cage kind of like they do? I started reading a lot about. It was actually when we started talking about roll cages and stuff before you bought yours and stuff like that, and I was looking into what it would take to make one, and I got down a complete freaking rabbit hole one night reading on off-road racing roll cages. Holy crap. By class and everything, off-road roll cages are insanely complex. As far as you've got to use this wall tubing here, and it's got to be, this diameter along the back side, and then your headrest can be this tubing at this size, and then the side tubing has to be this size. There's none of that with that. It's just basically 120 all the way.
Yeah, just 120 all the way. And
Yeah.
SCCA and NASA, they don't spec anything that crazy.
Yeah, yeah. And then tell us about this is I think something we talked about on the last podcast, some of the spec Corvette stuff. As far as we got into like spec Miata, we were talking a little bit about that. We were talking a little bit about spec Corvette. Spec Corvette is a fairly new class out. It's its own program. It's what's all involved in that? They're currently running in just California
And out in Florida.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
They got 2 different divisions, trying to get a central division
Okay.
started up.
C5 Corvettes,
C5s.
almost fairly stock, roll cage, missing interior. What are they? They give you LS1, LS3, and what's the other?
Well, LS1 and LS6.
Yeah. Okay. LS1 and LS6, and it's a probably in everything that I'm reading and everything that I've been doing research on, probably one of the cheapest motorsport racing as far as cars go to get into.
Yeah, it's compared to my build, it's really inexpensive.
Yeah, and even like that's what we were talking about the last time. Spec Miata has gone so crazy on a next level of stuff now. I mean, you're $70,000-$80,000 into Spec Miata just to have fun. So this is we've talked about it a lot. What are you thinking after this weekend? What do you think it would take to build a car?
Well, I mean, probably 40 to 50.
40 to 50.
Yeah.
And that's
And you can probably, like somebody your skill set, my skill set, that'd be less because we got more mechanical ability than some of the guys out there. They'd have to hire it out. But
and then so you went to Crescent Motorsport Ranch this weekend.
yes,
Went and got in one of these spec Corvettes.
yeah, spent 3 days in one.
What do you think?
They're pretty awesome.
Yeah,
Pretty awesome.
definitely still the same amount of fun, same amount of thrill that you'd get in just, well, the easiest way to compare it, we were there 2 weeks before that?
Yes.
2 or 3 weeks before that. Compare that to the little bit of seat time that you got in the C8.
Well, the C8, there's really no comparison because that's my street car.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to push it to the limits that I was able to push this C5,
Yeah.
actual purpose-built race car.
Yeah.
I didn't know the lines out there, the track,
Yeah.
and short time that I spent out there, there was really no time to learn the track.
Yeah.
And what I thought I was learning was tossed out the window the first day that I got a professional driver beside me.
I can imagine. I can imagine.
And I mean, everything went out the window.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's no comparison.
Yeah. So do you now that you've had both on the track, you think you definitely like the spec Corvette stuff better? Better than just running your street car out there.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
big time learning experience. I mean, you felt like it's not like I hear a lot of guys like you're talking about a what 300 horsepower car.
380
380.
max
Okay.
on those.
So 380 horsepower car. Most of your even your younger. I'm looking at Lucas like your younger generation over here. You know they're looking at a 380 horsepower car like nowadays like that's not even fun. Way more than enough fun.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what
it's way more. You can push that car to its limits,
yeah.
and it will get there quick. 380 horsepower.
Yeah. So you went, you did a kind of a arrive and drive type package for the weekend with, what is his name?
AP Miranda.
Okay. Tell us about that. Tell us about the experience.
Well, Friday we were there, got on the track midday, and there was snow all over the ground. Track was damp. Didn't bother him. He said he'd rather coach with a wet track anyway because it slows everything down.
Yeah, I can see that.
And you're still driving at limits,
Yeah.
so. And that was a pretty good day. Learned quite a bit that day.
Mhm.
Learned the line of the track that day. We were on the smaller version, the 1.7.
Was it the same layout that you were driving
Yeah.
the C8? Okay, yeah, okay.
And that was a pretty good day.
Yeah.
Yeah, then the next day they changed the track configuration up, and we was actually doing full 3.1 miles.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh, that'd be cool.
and everything I learned the first day went out the window again because I had to learn a new layout.
Yeah.
So it was that was interesting. And I'm going to tell you, I left the track a few times.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the biggest difference between, especially I've learned that in karting is there's a huge difference between driving, not a car, you can't even say that you don't care about it, but it's there to be a race car. It's designed to go off the track. It's not something that you want to do, but it's going to happen if you're going to push the limits of the car. You can't learn the limits until you learn the failure.
Yeah.
And so I've learned that with karting especially, like it's when I was driving somebody else's kart, you drive it a whole lot different than you drive, than you drive your own. With that being said, you were in somebody else's car, but you got when you go to one of these arrive and drive type things, essentially it's your car for the day.
Yes.
If you break it, you have to pay for it.
Yeah. You're on the hook for it.
Yeah, but on the other hand, nobody's going to get mad at you if you break it because you're paying for it.
Right.
Essentially, I mean, they look at it and go, well, it's going to be a lot of work to fix it, but essentially you can drive it like your own car. If you put your own car in the ditch, yeah, it's expensive to fix, but it's, it's a cost associated with racing. So what did you probably, I guess, how was the experience with the coach?
I don't think I could ask for a better coach. AP, he's laid back. He's not all up in your face, gung-ho type, yelling at you or anything like that. You're having a conversation, your helmet calm, just back and forth.
Yeah.
And you're running the track, and he's in your ear, turn in here.
Yeah.
Just drag your brake here. Get on the gas. I heard get on the gas quite a bit. And the thing about it is he will let you go as far as you're comfortable.
Yeah.
and it didn't take me long to get WFO.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, so, and he was all gung ho for it.
Yeah.
You know, so.
How different were the driving lines from what we were talking about the couple weeks before? Was there a lot of, was he having you do a lot of super late apex stuff?
Super late apex in some areas.
Kind of outside of track stuff, but well, I think there's a lot of corners on that track. At least the little setup that you're going in, you're not going in from all the way on the outside.
No.
And that's, I'm sure he probably had some stuff like that. What was the biggest surprise in the coaching stuff? As far as drive lines go, and as far as like what you know about drive lines and things like that, I guess what did you take away as the biggest lesson?
Well, the drive lines, you know, you can see those in the track. So, I mean, you know, he teaches you how to get set up for all that.
Okay.
But the biggest lesson for me, outside of looking ahead, was how important the foot and hand work.
Yeah.
Your hand work and your foot work.
Yeah, just being calm and.
Well, I mean, your shift points, your brake points, how quick, how hard, how light,
Yeah.
and keeping your hands quiet.
Yeah.
On the wheel and opening up whenever you need to.
Now, did they do any of that? Because they do a lot of that with karting. They'll put we had talked about before we jumped on here, but we'll get back into it with the podcast. I was doing everything I could not to ask him questions before you got here. I'm like, yeah, just wait. Like in karting, they'll put a GoPro right on your hands on the cart, and everything that they look for is, you know, small. Doing one of these.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And first day, he was on me about that, and you know, by Sunday, he said my hands were quiet.
Yeah.
And you know, turn in was there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, you know, Saturday, you know, he threw a lot of stuff at me, and we worked through that. And Sunday, he threw a lot more stuff at me, and I hadn't always shifted my Grand Sport properly as far as heel toe. You know, in competition, and now he said I was pretty proficient at heel toe shifting.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Yeah.
And which I don't need it in my Grand Sport, but.
Yeah. Now, you've done some driving schools and stuff like that. Ever onboard coaching stuff?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What schools have you gone to? What?
So I took the Ron Fellows driving school with the Corvettes in Nevada, and that was my first track experience. I guess I got to do a NASCAR.
Yeah, we don't talk about
experience
NASCAR,
at Texas Motor Speedway. But yeah, I don't count that. So Ron Fellows, that was really, really insightful experience. 2 full days in a C8 Corvette, really getting to understand, getting coached on how to drive. And they had built-in radios into the car audio system. So you have a driver, not an in-car coach, but a coach in front of you.
Okay.
In another car. And he's watching what you're doing, and everybody in the class kind of rotates through, so you get to be right behind the instructor for a little while, and then you rotate back. So that gives everybody a chance to kind of push as hard as they want to push, and the instructor will kind of watch and see what you're doing. And, you know, he's going to be way more experienced, and he'll just take off, and leave you if he wanted to, but
Yeah.
allows you to push into the back of him a little bit so that he can kind of gauge and see how each person is doing, and then coach each one in kind of one-on-one.
Yeah.
But then you're also behind the other students, so he's coaching them. You're getting to watch what they're doing and him coaching them. So you're hearing all of this. So it's a good experience because you get to see multiple angles of watching what the coach is doing, him coaching what you're doing, then falling back and watching him coach another student, what they're doing right or wrong.
And it's probably kind of backwards from what most people think, because most people would think that the instructor would follow the student,
Right.
And hey, you're not, get a little wider into this corner, or get it, whatever the case is. And I think people miss the fact that most of these drivers are so good that they don't need to be watching. They know where their lines are. They know where they're going. They know how far they can push the car. It's a Sunday drive for the fastest that you can drive the car.
For sure.
And they can watch in the rearview mirror.
And then they put you in the car and they go on a hot lap and you get to ride as a passenger. And then you start realizing after a full day of doing this yourself, thinking, man, I'm really pushing myself. And then you get in the car with the instructor and you're like, holy crap. There's a whole nother, it just kind of, it opens your mind to realizing what's possible.
Yeah.
You thought you were at the limit, and then you realize, no, you're far from it.
Yeah. And you've been to the Ron Fellows School
Yes.
as well.
Yes.
How would you compare that to what you did last weekend?
Last weekend was a whole lot more intense.
Yeah, because you're with Ron Fellows, you're essentially in street cars, right?
Yes.
Okay, there's nothing that they do kind of out of the norm. They don't put race tires on them. They don't put nothing like that. It's a straight up street car.
And that first class of Ron Fellows, they're actually just teaching you about the Corvette,
Yeah,
and they're not actually prepping you to race the car. They're just teaching you about the capabilities of the Corvette.
yeah,
And last weekend I was in full-fledged race car, and the guy is teaching me how to race.
yeah.
Yeah.
He's teaching you how to go take his car if you decide in the future to go do an arrive and drive, that you're going to go take his car to be competitive and
Yeah.
with his car in a race class.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're thinking about bringing this series to Texas, or they are bringing this series to Texas.
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah.
When are they projecting a start date?
They've got some races scheduled for this year. There's 4 to 5 of them. MSR this weekend.
No.
There's going to be a few cars there.
And you're going this weekend.
I'm going to observe.
Oh, you're going. Okay. All right. All right.
And then Eagles Canyon, they're having a deal there. MSR Houston twice. And then Ozark International Raceway, or I don't know the exact name of it.
Yeah. Up in Missouri. So you got 4 Texas dates, 1 Missouri date. Before we get into that, what are your plans with your car this year?
Well, I'm going to do a lot of HP, DE stuff, and try to put myself in some situations where I can learn.
Explain that for people that don't know.
High performance driving event.
Okay. So some time attack stuff
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Not wheel to wheel racing.
Not wheel to wheel.
More just getting on the track, beating somebody's time, competing against other people's times in
Yeah.
different classes,
Yeah.
similar cars. Your car is going to compete in which, you got 2 classes, right?
Well,
An SCCA class and another.
I haven't got it classed for NASA. I'm just primarily looking at SCCA. And then the little series out in New Mexico, ASR Super Lap.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
And it's all time trial.
Yeah.
Other than the occasional autocross, if I choose to do that car may not see an autocross track
You don't
again.
think so?
Yeah.
Why not?
Setups are totally different.
Yeah, they are. I think we got into that just starting around playing with the car and realizing that.
I think once it's set up for, road course, it would probably handle decent on an autocross course, but
Probably.
I don't think it'd be real. I mean, it could be competitive, but I don't think it'd be a top car unless
Yeah.
there was some major changes done.
Well, I mean, autocross, you've got a quick change rear end. Probably that's kind of in order. Shocks, different setups on some shocks.
Yeah.
Other than that, I mean, obviously there's ways to purpose build it for the autocross track. With a shock change and a gear change, it'd probably be fun.
Yeah, it'd be fun.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I want to change it after I get it set up for road course. I'm not sure I want to mess with a good thing.
Yeah. And that's the biggest thing is, I guess, if you did, you'd just record all the changes.
Yeah.
Because you'd even be, well, when we were doing testing, we were 1 or 2 springs less as far as sizes go, or as far as weights go.
Well, went 100 pounds lighter on the spring package.
And we probably needed to go
Probably another
100 pounds to do autocross stuff.
Yeah.
Road course stuff, you're probably not too far off on 100 pounds, 100 pounds lighter. Or
Yeah.
are you going to go stiffer, you think?
Well, we'll work up to that.
Yeah.
Running street tire right now is probably pretty good, but whenever I actually make the transition to slicks, I'll probably have to
Go a little stiffer.
go a little stiffer.
Yeah. What are some other questions I had? So, after the car was initially built, you brought it to, it's sitting over at G Speed right now. We went and visited those guys for a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Awesome guys. Awesome experience going over there. I can't thank you enough for that. That was a very, very good time.
Yeah, I'm jealous.
Yeah.
I didn't get to go.
He got to hear the probably 4-hour story of the whole summary. Chris Whitehead is his name over there. Amazing guy. Super smart guy. Really knows these guys are. I think that's the biggest thing that I think we might have touched on that a little bit in the last podcast. Kind of the difference in what you can do with a shop that's right next to a track, for one, that has tracks accessible even in the area, as another compound to it. I mean, us over here in Lubbock, we don't have any tracks over here. We don't have any opportunities to go out and test things. So I mean, it's like I was telling him, there was probably, I don't think there was more, maybe 1 or 2 cars with a license plate on it over there.
Yeah.
At the most, out of the probably 30 something 40 cars that they had over there. Where everything we're doing here with our business, as performance as we want to get, we're building street cars.
Yeah.
Even if we want to look at things like the R8, twin turbo R8 mid-engine car, everything about it screams race car. Still on street tires, still on stock suspension, still on, nothing. Would it be yes, it's going to be a fun car on the track. No doubt about it. We get a suspension package on it. It's going to be a super fun car on the track. Still a street car. Where I mean, these cars over there are so far from being able to be a street car that, their life is gone as far as a streetable car goes. Even yours is obviously full race car. In my opinion, you almost left enough there to kind of.
The horn works.
Yeah.
The blinkers work.
outside of exhaust, you could almost pass an inspection.
Yeah.
I mean, it would pass an inspection.
Well, as of January, you don't have to anymore.
This is true. This is true.
You
This
should
is
be able to
true.
just keep registering that.
I got a VIN number and
It's got a VIN number and it's got a license plate. It does. It is legal to be on the street as a functioning automobile.
yes.
I love how Texas is going in such opposite direction to California. California, Oregon was sending firefighters down to help. They were stopping their fire trucks and telling them, we have to do an emissions test on your fire truck before you come into California. Yes.
Oh,
and Texas is like, you know what? Not only do we not do emissions tests, we're not going to do
We're not
inspections
even gonna do
anymore.
inspections
You just
anymore.
renew your jalopy.
Now, I will say, coming from a state that does not do inspections, growing up in Michigan, obviously in the Rust Belt of all things, where I was just on the phone with my dad the other day, and he had a 11. He had a 2011 Chevy truck in there, half-ton pickup. And he was asking me what's all involved in a DOD delete kit, because the guy was putting a new motor in it, had a lifter failure, cam failure, and he's like, yeah, we're thinking about doing this DOD delete kit. And I started getting into like, hey, because at first he's like, well, we want to put a 2004 engine in this thing. I was like, yeah, no, you're talking different computer systems. You're talking a whole lot more work. I said, go find yourself an 11 engine, and I'll send you all the stuff, and I'll work you through doing a DOD delete on it. And he's like, well, how much extra is it going to cost? So I kind of broke that down to him, and he's like, oh yeah, no, this guy doesn't want to spend that kind of money. I was like, well, it's a 2011 truck. It's got to be pretty. It's a fairly nice truck. Still got some life left in it and stuff. He goes, oh no, this thing's got holes everywhere in the fenders and the frame's rotted out and everything else. And I was like, that looks like a brand new truck down here in Texas, But the no inspection thing, coming from a state that has no inspection, I'm almost against it.
Why?
Because I've seen the things running around on the road up in Michigan, and it's stuff that you're like,
yeah, but I mean,
you don't want to be next to that car with your family in the car. You don't realize how especially, with our speed limits the way they are, 75 miles an hour, you do not want to be next to some of these cars going down the road at 75 miles an hour.
They probably won't be able to do 75 miles an hour.
You'd be surprised. You'd be really surprised.
It's amazing whenever a car that's like bumpers strapped on with duct tape, and you make way for them, right? They're just like, I'm coming through.
You're like,
if you're driving
please,
a nice car, you're like, nobody hit me. But if you're driving a jalopy, it's like people just get out of the way.
Oh yeah,
See the fender flap out there flapping like that.
yeah. As soon as you see that temporary tag on the back in Texas, you're like, oh shit. Let's just give him another lane,
Yeah.
But now it's even I'm proof in the pudding. When I was 16 years old, if you saw some of the stuff that I was running around the roads in, like, no, you don't want to be next to that. You don't want to have your family next to that. I think, inspections, if they're going to get rid of them, I think there at least should be some kind of a standard to it. You shouldn't be able to have all of your body panels duct taped onto your car. That shouldn't be road legal. You know, the catalytic converter thing. Who the hell cares about catalytic converters?
No,
You know,
not in Texas.
yeah,
I think what it boils down to is it doesn't eliminate the requirements for safety on the road, and so I think you can still get pulled over and ticketed if you are.
But they're not going to do that.
If it's truly a
a
safety factor.
You think somebody's going to get pulled over now that inspections aren't in place for a crack in your windshield?
No, but I'm saying if it's a like extreme safety problem, like your bumper's about to fly off or something.
Yeah, there's gonna be some of that, but a lot of the you know what it's gonna tend to do is it's gonna tend to cars that we see out in the weeds and parked in people's garages because they can't get them inspected. That truly aren't probably. Don't have any business being on the road. Mm-hmm. You know, bad ball joints, bad steering racks, you know, wheel bearings, stuff like that nobody's going to fix because they know, hey, this thing's going to get me down to the corner store.
Right. Well, here's a perfect example of why I think this is actually a good thing. Jared bought a 1970 Mach 1 from a guy because it was parked in his driveway, and the city was threatening to tow it off and junk it because it had an expired registration.
Yeah.
And it was up on blocks. And even in his driveway. It was parked in the guy's driveway. Apparently that is a code violation with the city. And of course he wasn't going to be able to get it inspected and be able to register it. And so Jared was able to pick it up super cheap. But guys like that who, it's like, I've got this car, I don't have the time or the money to put into it at the moment, but to be able to continue to register it and keep it legal so that you can park it in your driveway, versus the city literally threatening to just come take it away from you.
That's a dumb rule, anyways.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
Something like that, especially a classic car sitting there. I mean, that's just absurd in my mind.
But this not having the inspection, I think, would help people who want to keep their car, but they're not necessarily going to go drive it.
Yeah.
Being able to just continue to renew the registration.
I think there's got to be some standard of something somewhere, though. You know, they've either got to up patrol or, you know, I forget who I was having this conversation with the other day. Was it you, Lucas, that I was talking about, like, what you could get pulled over for in Michigan? Like the seatbelt stuff and everything like that. Was it you? Mm-hmm. I don't remember who I was having this conversation with. So in Michigan, the big difference between here and Texas. Oh, I can't remember who I was having the conversation with, but it was about when I moved down here and got rid of motorcycles. I was like, yeah, no, I'm not driving a motorcycle around here. No, not going to happen. And the difference in how, especially West Texas blew up so quick. Mm-hmm. There was never any traffic around, so everybody kind of, you know, they learned to drive with no traffic around. They didn't need to know how to merge onto the loop, and you know, things like that. Where me growing up in Michigan, like, you know all the laws. You know exactly every single law, how it works, how to do things at the age of 16. It's drilled into your head because little stuff like we have seatbelt traps everywhere in Michigan. You'll come up to a street light and make a right turn. Be some guy sitting on the corner in regular street clothes, and you just see him keep doing one of these. He's radioing to the police ahead. Oh yeah.
No.
Oh yeah. It's $500 seatbelt ticket in Michigan.
Holy
How much revenue you think they're making off that shit? Yeah, they're busting everybody for that stuff.
Wow.
But so you always wear a seatbelt. You know, it's I freak out about it so much that, like, Christy's got those little seatbelt things that clip in there so the dinger doesn't go off. You know. Yeah, and I'll pop those things out, put them in the center console, and put my seatbelt on just because I don't feel comfortable driving now.
I'm same. I don't.
Yeah.
I never drive without a seatbelt.
I've grew up with it so much, and then like merging onto the freeway. You'll get pulled over merging onto the freeway if you're under the speed limit. Oh, if you're, you slam on your brakes for somebody to let somebody onto the freeway, I can promise you, state cop sees you, you're done. You're getting a ticket for. Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's not the flow of traffic's responsibility to let you onto the freeway. It's your responsibility to merge properly. And the problem with it in Michigan is there's so much traffic, you can cause a 20-car pileup like that.
Oh yeah.
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 So I mean, they don't have any forgiveness for you on that
Yeah.
stuff, and the drivers damn sure don't have any forgiveness for
Now,
you.
what
on
pisses
that
me
stuff.
off in Lubbock is that people speed up to prevent you from merging into.
Oh yeah,
Like,
yeah.
really?
Yeah.
That's your solution? You're gonna just speed up?
And that's the thing. Because everybody knows that there's. I mean, they'll pull you over for anything that they. I mean, they see anything out of line or anything like that in Michigan, they're going to pull you over for it. So you've just learned over time. I use my blinker to get over. I use my blinker to turn. You don't. You come up to a stop sign and don't stop all the way. You're getting pulled over every single time. Somebody see, and usually there's cops they'll park right at a 4-way intersection just where you can't see them, and they can see you, and will purposely stake out people that aren't stopping completely. And it's been that way for so long that when I came down here, like, I have the proper way to drive. It's so ingrained in me that, like, running through a yellow light, it's crazy to me because I've almost been rear-ended so many times because, like, I see a yellow light and I'm like, oh yeah, I can safely stop before that, so I'm going to. I've literally been stopped at a red light and watched like 3 more cars go by in the next lane.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
what in the ever living shit is going on here? Like,
Yeah.
but I mean, I get the.
You realize that most of those people are not from Texas. Those are New Mexico drivers.
I don't think so. I don't think so. They're all bad. They're all bad. But no, it's one of those things that, like, I realize that I'm appreciative that it seems like the whole state of Texas, whether it be city, state, county, they are forgiving as far as I don't believe that the there's lights for a reason, but it's just, it's crazy to me how much you can get away with in Texas. As far as just from a driver's standpoint, but unfortunately it's made people to the point that I don't think anybody hardly knows the laws around here. Like, they don't, if they do know the laws, they definitely don't abide by them. And I mean, it sucks when it ends up in an accident or anything like that, but it's
I think we should go with what Germany does to get your driver's license. It's like a 2.5-year process and costs thousands of dollars. That's why they have the Autobahn, is because they know that people, if you have a driver's license, you are an extremely skilled driver because of what you have to go through to get your license. And then you have points, like you can lose your license, if you have enough accidents and whatever. I mean, we've got that in the States too, but it's just way, way more strict. And so people there are actually skilled drivers.
If you get in an accident for doing something completely retarded, I think you should get your license. If you knew better, like, and that's the thing. It's just people they know better. They just choose not to do it. And I mean, there's some point in there that, unfortunately, people are dumb in a lot of areas, and you have to govern that stuff. So it's being technically an outsider. I mean, I've lived in Texas for a long time now, but I'm still technically an outsider. I'm still technically an implant. It's not that I don't agree with them getting rid of the vehicle inspection thing, but I think that there should be a standard there.
If you want to lose your mind while driving, drive around Tech Campus.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure.
If there's any Jeep Wrangler with sorority stickers in the back, just give them space. Just give them space.
They're race car drivers in training.
Or me and my buddy went to Austin last year during Thanksgiving break,
Yeah.
and I like to call it the Great Migration
Mm-hmm.
because it's just 40,000 kids
Mm-hmm.
all on I-20 going to Dallas, going to Austin, going to Houston.
Oh, I-35.
No, like going from here to
Yeah.
Oh, to Austin.
getting
Oh,
there
sure.
from here.
Oh my
yeah.
goodness! Like especially when you're driving back home, when you get to Abilene, it's just NASCAR. The whole way
Yeah,
from here
they're
to Lubbock.
doing this.
Yep.
At 100 miles an hour.
It's,
Yep.
Yeah.
it's a fun game. It honestly is.
Oh, God. That makes me not want to travel on
Right.
the holidays even more. I guess I didn't even realize, and we have some huge schools around here,
Yeah.
too.
You know, another fun little trip is when you're going back and forth to Ruidoso on Friday and Sunday. You go into Ruidoso on
Oh,
Friday, coming
yeah.
back on Sunday. Everybody's going 95 miles an hour. The state troopers ignore, and you just get in line with everybody. And you just this long train of Lubbockites going to Ruidoso and back.
Oh, yeah. I've done that
hilarious.
before.
It's hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah. Trying to think of some of the. God, I had so many questions to ask.
Sorry, I threw off your
Tracy.
mojo.
No, you didn't throw it off at all. What do you got any?
What's your when you got into Corvettes? Like you've had Corvettes for a long time, haven't you?
7 years.
No, that's it.
That's it.
I thought you.
I've always wanted
had
one.
Corvettes forever.
No.
Okay, so you're just kind of new to
New.
Corvettes.
No way. Really?
Yeah.
Holy crap! I didn't know that.
The black one was my first one.
No way.
Yeah.
Was it really?
Yeah.
I figured. But your dad was a Corvette guy.
No.
Where did the one that you inherited come from? The red one.
I got him into that.
Oh, you got him into that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Wow. I guess I figured when we did all that work on the red one and you said that it was your dad's, I was like, oh, he must have had this. You know, he must have been a Corvette guy all his life, and that's where you got it from.
No, I got him into that. We had the black one, and we were getting ready to go on the Corvette Caravan in 2019. And at that point in time, I had the white C4. And I had worked on it, put new shocks, changed out upper and lower control arm bushings, did everything to it. And the car pretty roadworthy, and
Yeah.
I felt comfortable about the engine. I was talking to my dad and my stepmom about going on the Caravan with us. And I said, got you a car. Next thing I know, he's at Corvette World in Dallas or Carrollton, and he's buying this little red convertible.
Oh, really?
He didn't want to drive by it.
Wow. I had no idea. I figured I was 100% certain that was like just a long time thing for you. You're so knowledgeable with the Corvettes and everything.
It's been a long time farming up here,
Yeah.
and the knowledge on the Corvette, whenever I focus on
Yeah, you're like me. You
Yeah,
have to perfect everything. Yeah.
soak it all up, and
Yeah. If you get into something or you even like something or have an interest in it, you want to know everything there possibly ever was to know
Obsess
about
about it.
yeah.
Yeah. I think that's why we get along so well.
But 7 years, yeah.
Wow. So were you always a car guy?
Always a car.
Well, yeah, you guys
Yeah.
had the machine shop back in the day. When was that?
Well, we shut it down in '94.
Okay.
So through the late '60s, through the '70s, '80s.
Favorite car. I'm gonna narrow this down. Favorite car, not a Corvette.
Does it have to be one that I owned?
We'll go one that you owned and one that you aspire to own.
69 Z28 Camaro.
Okay. That owned.
No,
That's the one that you want.
yeah.
Favorite car that you've owned outside of a Corvette?
72 Hurst Olds.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a real good one. Gold?
White and gold.
White and gold?
Yeah.
Yep. All right.
Ram air, the light reflected stripes
Yeah.
front to rear.
Yeah, that's.
Dual gate shifter.
Did you own it newish or?
No, bought it. It's 72. I bought it in 77.
Okay, so it was newish.
Yeah, it was on the lot at Pioneer Lincoln Mercury on the back lot.
Okay.
It wasn't.
Which Pioneer Lincoln Mercury is now the Tesla dealer.
Well,
In the 70s, it would have been.
over there actually
Avenue
where no, it's actually over there where Chewy's.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Chewy's and BJ's.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
All right. Way before the Loop, I'm sure.
Well, the Loop was
No.
Just started?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I remember going and looking at cars at that lot. That was 12, 13, 14 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
That they tore it down. Yeah.
But it was on the back lot, and I mean I was driving down the Loop and I spotted that car from distance. And of course I was underage, but you know, and I had to get this okayed with through my dad too, and took him over there. And he said, "You don't want that car." I said, "I do, Dad." He said, "Well, if you can figure out a way to pay for it, I'll help you get it."
Yeah.
So,
All right.
and you know, the thing smoked like a freight train.
Oh, really?
The rings are bad in it.
That's what's crazy is like you look at I think back even I'm 15 years younger than you at least,
Yeah.
and I look back at like the way that I grew up and the car. Like I remember growing up as a kid, my dad always somebody would come into the shop and you know, well, how many miles it got on it? Oh, it's got 80,000 miles on it. Oh, you need to start looking at a new car. Like, and, oh, well, you know, it still runs good and this and that. You've taken care of me all these years with it and stuff. And my dad's like, no, it's 100,000 miles. Like, it's time to go. Like, it's done. It's, you know, you need to start buying a new car. And that's how everybody looked at that stuff back then. But I mean, cars did not, everybody takes for granted that they can drive a car nowadays 200,000 miles.
Yeah.
You know what my standard when I was looking for my first car was?
What's that?
My standard was under 200,000 miles.
Yeah.
Like if I found a car that had 100,000 miles on it, to me that was a brand new car. That was 0 miles.
And you're only what, 5? You're 5 years younger than me?
Yeah, 5, 6,
7. You're what, 35 now?
36,
36. Okay, 6. Yeah.
37 in a week.
Yeah. So I mean, even just in that time, like cars just, you know, have come so far in just that amount of time.
That's true too. If you think about like, even me when I was 16, a 10-year-old car was an old looking car.
Oh yeah.
Whereas now a 10-year-old car still looks brand new.
Yeah. I mean, you figure, 10-year-old car now is 2015. Most people keep looking at them like, oh, did they even do a body style change since then? You know? It's it's crazy, but yeah, I mean.
But yeah, in 2006, a 1996 car, that was ancient.
Oh yeah, yeah. So it was a 74, and you bought it in 77. So that's, God, I suck at math. What's that? 4 or 5 years?
72.
It was a 72, and you bought it in 77.
Yeah.
So it was all of a 5-year-old car, and it was just done for.
Yeah, the engine was it started up and ran.
Still looked good. And
yeah, it still looked
paint
good.
was still
Yeah.
good on it.
What was the car? 1972 what?
Hurst Olds.
First Olds?
Yeah, Oldsmobile.
I don't even know what this car is.
Oh, they're amazing.
Okay, yeah. It kind of looks like a GTO.
It's 442 platform. It's
Yeah.
just-
It would have been a, what is that,
390 horsepower
455
Yeah.
big block.
in 1972. That's impressive.
what body is that? Is that a J body car? What's it?
I think so.
Yeah, what's it say that's, what body is that? What generation body is it? Like you got a G body 442 would be the 80s. Is it a J body car? Does it say on there? Where's our fact checker here?
Yeah, well, I just want to see what it looked like.
What 72 Hearst Olds? Is that what's the body generation on that? To say it's a J body car, and F body car. Well, F body car would be a Trans Am, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just says it was based on the colonnade body style, the Oldsmobile Cutlass. It doesn't tell me J or any of that stuff.
So explain the body style. J.
Well, I mean, obviously the most recognizable ever out there is a G body car. You know, I mean, everybody talks about the G body car. So that's basically your what is it? Early '80s Cutlass body style.
Yeah.
So is this specific to Oldsmobile?
Not GM.
No, GM
Oh, okay.
mainly. Yeah, I mean, like
It's considered a G.
no way.
That's what it says, yeah.
Nuh-uh, that's not a G.
72
body
is
car.
considered a G body.
No way. How would they consider that a G body?
Well, if it's Cutlass platform in the early 70s and they start cutting things down and
Yeah, but I thought it had to be a cutback window to be a G body car. That's your flat back window is what made it. I don't think. I'm gonna call false information on that. I could be wrong. I could be totally wrong. But yeah, G body car. You know, you were cutback window. It just looked like the old timeless Cutlass car. They made. I mean, God, what model? They had a 442 in there. They had a, obviously the Cutlass,
the Buick.
they had the Grand National was a G body car. God, I'm just trying to think. Even they had Chevy even uses the G body in some stuff, didn't they?
Monte Carlo.
Yeah, the Monte Carlo. Yeah, Monte Carlo was a G body car. Yeah, it was the platform that they used for all of those different models.
General Motors G platform, rear wheel drive. Yeah, Monte Carlo, Grand Prix, Cutlass Supreme, and Buick Regal.
Oh yeah, the Buick Regal. But yeah, then you had. I mean, that's how kind of Chevy has always done their stuff. They've got the F body, the J body. God, it just goes on and on and on.
Yeah, according to this, the Oldsmobile Hearst Olds was just in 1983 to 84 was a G body.
Okay. Yeah, that's a different generation, and they might not even classified them.
Which that looks a lot more like a Grand National.
Yeah, yeah. I'd hate to even ask you this. Can you run down your list of cars?
Oh no.
Give us a highlight list. Some of your favorites.
68 Mustang was my first one.
Oh no. He just admitted on a podcast that he owned a Ford.
And I'd own a Ford again. It's the right one.
You had a 68 Mustang?
Had a 68 Mustang.
Coupe or fastback?
Coupe.
All right.
206.
Yep. Was it
Top
Oh
speed.
shit.
Top speed of 105 miles an hour.
Tested
Tested.
by you.
That car would rat race pretty good though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What other-
Single track rear end. You can go around the turns and just. I mean,
Yeah.
You can drift pretty good with it.
Yeah. And that was your car 16 years old?
Yeah.
That was your first car?
First car.
That's not a bad first car. That ain't a bad first
Yeah.
car at all.
Young, inexperienced driver, I rear-ended somebody at Indiana Loop.
Yeah. I gotta get the sweatshirt off. What else you got?
The Hurstol's second car. Then I had a 79 Z28. Let's see. Had a 83 RX-7. That was a fun little car.
Yeah.
Monte Carlo, 78 Monte Carlo.
That's a big boat one, right?
That big
yeah.
boat.
Yeah.
Had the swivel seats.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about those.
That thing run crazy good. Though.
Yeah.
400 small block in it.
That was a good motor.
A little heavy car to get up and move.
Yeah.
78 Z28 had. Then I
That
had
was a good year.
had a 78.
T-top car?
The second one, yeah.
Yeah.
Had a 78 Trans Am T-top car. I run it up back into Blackpool.
Completely going the speed limit, seatbelt on.
It was
doing-
wet. It was wet, and I downshifted, and it decided it wanted to swap in.
Yeah.
It was a stick car, so
Yeah.
yeah.
What else you got?
Let's see. Couple trucks, 77 Silverado, short wide, silver and blue.
That was a good one.
Let's see. Oh, I had a 70 model Cougar convertible.
I've got a soft spot for Cougars.
Yeah.
So, my grandmother, that's all she drove. Her probably, gosh, I think probably since she was in her 20s. She drove nothing but Cougars. Her last car was a 94 Cougar XR7. You know, it was, or no, it might have been a 96, 97, somewhere right in the last year. It was the last year before they went to the really ugly body style that ended it all. That little, that little compact car looking one. Yeah, it was the last year that they did that. And yeah, she wanted an XR7 for the whole time. She always owned Cougars. She's like, just never sprung for it, and she finally did that last one. So, yeah, I've got a soft spot for Cougars big time.
Had a 71 Nobrith Super Sport.
That was a good one. You've had a lot of cool cars.
Couple of 4-door cars, Oldsmobiles, Chryslers
Yeah,
thrown in there,
yeah,
and family cars, type of stuff.
yeah. So pretty much always been kind of a car guy.
Yeah.
Race car stuff has just kind of started out. Did you? Well, you said you did some flat track racing back in the day, right?
Well, me and a buddy, we built a dirt track car back in the late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah.
Or built several dirt track cars.
Yeah.
Started out street stock, and of course, his and my approach to building hot rods is pretty much the same. We'll build what we want, and then we'll figure out a place to put it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But started out building the street stock. They changed the rules on us. We kept building the way we wanted to build, and so we went up to Super Street stock.
Is this the guy that we met
Yeah.
a while back? He seems exactly like that. Like he's
Yeah,
He's gonna build- yeah.
You've been to a shop.
I witnessed that. We're gonna build it the way we're gonna build it, and they're just gonna listen to us. And so they didn't listen to you.
And then after that, it was a Trans Am.
Yeah.
After we got through with the Super Street stock, we come up with a semi-late chassis, and went through that and built and campaigned that for 4 years.
Okay.
You know, I don't know if you're familiar with wedge body. Whenever we first started, wedge bodies like the late models and the semi-lates, you were able to have side dams on them
Okay.
and everything like that. And they soon started doing away with that.
Yeah.
We-
I never
we
saw
did our-
the side dams on them. That'd be
Yeah,
cool.
I mean, you know, the doggone late models, they had 4x8 sheets of Lexan
jeez.
stuck up there in the air.
Yeah. That's crazy.
You know, they did away with that. The late models started getting shorter and shorter.
Looking like cars and kind of, yeah.
And like I said, we campaigned that for 4 years.
Yeah.
And fabricated our own body panels and
Yeah.
took care of everything, our own welding. And
One thing I wanted to get into, I thought was really important. I kind of wanted to get into more of a advice kind of segment into the podcast. Going into your big race car build, what would you kind of tell people that have the same idea that, hey, I want to go build a track car, I want to go all into this racing thing? Some advice you could give somebody that really didn't have it all figured out from the get-go, never done anything, just new to the motorsports.
I would say have a plan first, on paper. And
When you say have a plan on
what you're looking to achieve, where you're wanting to go, what class you're
what
wanting
class
to be,
you want to race.
what
Yeah.
sanctioning body. I mean, you know, all of, even as far as they require competition license.
Yeah.
You know, everything involved with that. Yeah. Develop your plan and stick to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Along, you know, after you develop your plan, develop your budget.
Yeah. Yeah. Go out, you know, I always kind of would look at it as, you know, go out and go to events before
Yeah.
you plan your build. Go talk to people that are racing your class. You know, I think the motorsport community is, I mean, they can be closed off. They can be, you know, they're not going to want to, you know, they don't want to give you the secret sauce or anything like that, but they're going to give you, most people will give you enough because they want more competitors.
Yeah.
You know, they'll give you the little ins and outs and, you know, the do's and don'ts, and hey, maybe, you know, start out with this car or whatever the case is. And then from there.
Well, after you come up with your budget, would really seriously look into buying a vehicle that's already built.
Mm-hmm.
It will save you funds,
Yeah.
quite a
Yeah.
bit of funds, and
Yeah.
they're out there. You can't get in a hurry. I mean, even if you're building your own project, you can't get in a hurry. So wait the 2 months, 6 months,
Yeah.
you know, find the right car for you,
Yeah.
because they'll show up.
Well,
There'll be people like me that's going to eventually age out,
yeah.
and they got a pretty strong,
Handle
car.
on the car. Yeah.
you know, I've already spent the money that you can reap the benefit from me liquidating my.
I got into this when I, and you guys know how much I really don't like drag racing, but, well, not that I don't like it, it's just, it's different.
Knuckle drag racing.
Yeah, yeah. And at one point, I was wanting to buy, not a pro mod, but just like a good something to have fun with.
Mm-hmm.
And that was when I found racingjunk.com and got on there, started doing some research, and I'm like, there is, because that was exactly me. I was like, well, I want to build something. I want to, I'm just going to go buy a street car and tear it all apart and build my own, so I can say that it was all done by me and this and that. And then I got on there and I was like, I can take this car and make it my own and still be half of the cost of starting out with a street car.
Yeah.
And you don't realize, I mean, once somebody's turned a race car, you're not buying street car values anymore. It'll never be worth street car money anymore. So, and then from there, put you on the spot now.
Patience.
Yeah.
I mean, really, and you've been around me this whole build.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. And
there's been times that I've been really upside down beside myself, and
yeah.
like today, if I get my car at the end of the week, great. If I don't, okay, well, that's okay too.
Yeah. And
Because I want it to be right when I finally do get my hands on it.
yeah. And I mean, you think you're impatient. I think you're probably one of the more patient people we've ever, I mean, we've worked on cars years and things like that. And I think you're probably one of the more patient people than anybody I've dealt with. But it'll eat you up inside when I mean, especially, I mean, I'm very much the same way, especially you go out of your pocket with the money on something, you want to play with your toy that you just bought. It's really, really, really hard to sit there and just be like, there it is, not quite done. I get it, and you dealt with it for, I mean, you're a little over 2 years into this?
Yeah.
And
October 22?
Yeah. You have autocrossed it twice?
Twice.
Yeah.
Since October 22.
Yeah. So October 22, you started building it. When did we autocross it? It was middle of last year?
June. Middle of June.
So June 2024.
Yeah.
Then went back in under the knife.
Yeah.
For improvements. Pretty fair. I mean, really, to me, as much as you did right off the jump on the car, I think it's a pretty fair assumption that you knew you were going to be doing more. You knew it wasn't going to be done. It wasn't going to be turnkey, like not going to have to touch it for years or anything like that. Everything happened a little bit faster, I think, than you expected.
Yeah, and there were some decisions made that if I had to do all over, I'd probably change them.
Yeah.
Now I don't want to really talk about that on this.
Yeah,
On this
and that's
platform.
I'm dancing around that. I'm like, yeah, but yeah, it's long story short turned into. I mean, it's an awesome car. You're now trying to obviously fit into the SCCA class. There's some other stuff that's you're kind of wanting to do with it, doesn't really fit into the class because you're unlimited class in one of them, right?
Well, SCCA, I'm unlimited.
Yeah.
And that class there, their purpose-built race cars are really extreme.
You're talking yours. You're naturally aspirated. Where are you at horsepower wise? Neighborhood.
No, neighborhood 6.5.
Yeah, and
the unlimited SEC A unlimited guys are 1,000.
or for Ross's case, 16, 1800.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm under horsepowered, but there are some people that still, I'm not anywhere near skilled that these guys are.
Yeah.
But there's guys that runs with lower horsepower cars in there
And do okay. Yeah.
and do okay.
Yeah.
And NASA classing is pretty much the same way. The next step on this car, if I do decide, is going to be a bump in horsepower.
Force induction. Turbos.
Probably.
Yeah. No.
I was thinking turbos, and I still can't get it out of my head. Maybe Pro Charger or
Some kind of
centrifugal
force
on
induction.
the package that I've got now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Take the higher compression engine and put a little bit more, pack the cylinders a little bit more with it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that'd be a good twist to it. It's really hard not to go turbos. So it's really hard not to go turbos on a open road track car. Are you still planning on doing the race down Terralingua? Remind me of what that race is.
Big Bend open road.
Bend open road.
If the opportunity presents itself, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
I may do it in a different platform,
C8.
maybe.
Think so? That's an interesting.
I mean, me doing the open road race down there, I'm going to be rookie status anyway, so I'm going to be speed limited.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
I didn't know that.
First time out, they're gonna limit you. Yeah,
What speed?
124.
124.
That's max speed.
That might be an awesome event for the R8.
That'd be pretty cool.
When is that? Because you're street tires in that, right? Well, I guess you don't have to be, but
Yeah, they start moving you around in classes if you're running slicks and stuff.
Yeah.
And I think a good softer street tire would do good on that course.
yeah. Especially, I mean, they have that race is run no matter the weather.
Yeah.
Your rain, shine.
Yeah.
You get some wind and stuff like that, you might benefit from a street tire opposed to a race tire. Get some dust on the road. When
It's
is
coming
that
up
race?
March, and then there's
Oh shit, that's
no, not March, April. I'm sorry.
April. Okay.
And then October,
Oh, I didn't know they did it twice a year.
twice a year.
When end of October or beginning?
Middle.
Middle. It's my birthday weekend, Chase.
I'm looking it up to see if April. Well, are we talking about the same thing? Big Bend Open Road Race?
Yes.
Yep.
April 23rd through the 26th. Looking to see what the cost of registration is.
What's the fall one? You don't have the patience for fall.
Oh, we'll do both of them. Fall is October 15th through the 18th.
Oh, yeah, that's 6 days away from my birthday. 1 week away from F1. No, that might be the weekend of F1.
It might be.
I think it's the weekend of F1.
I'm not seeing price for registration.
So going into the road racing scene, kind of.
Oh, here it is. That's not too bad.
What is it?
It's different based on your
Classes.
on your
Probably.
classes. So like touring is $650, grand touring is $750. Rookie orientation and qualifying is $250.
Oh, we're in.
That's not bad at all.
Oh,
I kind of want to do this.
yeah.
I want to take the R8 down there.
That'd be an experience for sure.
Mm-hmm.
R8 and S5.
Mm-hmm. You can get it built. Got to get it finished.
October. let's shoot for October.
If that car's not driving until October,
No, I didn't say not driving. No, it'll be driving very soon. Driving supercharged and totally finished. I mean, the R8's not totally finished.
yeah, it is.
No, it's not.
Just needs a bumper put on
It
it.
needs a bumper. It needs pipes made. It needs. Yeah, we still got work. Yeah, I know. I remind myself of it.
And then I might
I
run
feel
my
like
race.
I'm the worst customer. I just like, whatever.
Oh no, I can
I
think of one that starts with a D. That's we won't get into that. Trying to think of so
Why is the unlimited class so expensive? It's $1,050 for the unlimited.
there's probably cash payouts and stuff like that. Is what my guess is, or big trophies, big
So
prizes.
it's actually a race, and it's actually
open road race. They shut down the roads.
they shut down the road, and you actually win based on what? Like you're not racing
Time
wheel
trials.
to wheel.
Yeah.
Nope, time trials. Yep.
Unlimited, and the top 3 classes, I believe, is fastest.
I'm looking at the course. Fort Stockton to Sanderson and return.
Now, you have to have a spotter, correct? Even in
Yes.
rookie class.
You don't have to have a navigator or a spotter, but
Highly
it
encouraged.
would be.
Oh wow, here is a turn-by-turn, very specific directions of where you're going and what you're doing.
Yeah, because you went down and drove it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you went down and drove the course.
Fort Stockton to Sanderson. I want to pull up a map.
So what do you got coming up? Anything scheduled? Well, I guess you're going to be in Crescent next week.
Crescent, just really wanting to get the car back.
Yeah. We got some car shows coming up. The Corvette.
Well, the Corvette car show is in June. I'm thinking about the summer. Corvette car shows next weekend.
Yeah, Windmill Museum.
Windmill Museum.
We'll be out there with a booth for that. You'll be out there with how many cars are you bringing this year?
If the race car's ready for 'em.
Everything's based on if the race car's ready.
The race car's ready for, if not 3.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
gonna leave the other ones at the house.
yeah. And then what's after that? You start autocrossing anything this year
I'll probably do autocross, and I'll probably do that in the C8.
in the C8?
Yeah.
What
Even-
class are you gonna fit into with
It's gonna
C8?
be SSM.
SSM.
Yeah.
What are we gonna fit into with the S5? Force induction, 4-wheel drive, stick. We are on street tires.
I don't know. You have to look at classing on that.
Yeah. I was thinking probably whatever you were in with the Grand Sport before. That whatever Scott Dowd's in and those guys.
Well, that's Cam.
Isn't there another one like a X class or something?
The Extreme Street.
Yeah.
And those Cam and Extreme Street are kind of sister classes. Extreme Street is, okay, probably put slicks on it and go right into Extreme Street.
Holy cow. The unlimited record for the race, 172 miles an hour. That's insane.
Yeah.
I did that on Marshall Sharp last week. Where do I sign up?
Don't say that. Yeah, don't say that on the podcast, Dylan.
We don't know who that is.
Not on camera. We're good.
We had a guy, he was helping, so they started filming, they were going to film from start to finish the 79 Trans Am that's out back that we put on hold for years. They started filming that. They got some really, really good footage, like the whole motor being built, the mini tubs being done, flush mount firewall, all the 4-link stuff that we did and everything, got all that on film. And the kid that was helping us film got, he was the Texas Tech student that got busted for, I don't know, he was doing like 140 or so, 130, 140 down Marshall Sharp and got busted bigger than shit. Yeah.
What was it?
That would have been, God, probably 3 years ago now.
I wasn't even in college.
Yeah, it's I won't say his name on here, but it was pretty funny. He was very blackballed by everybody. Like his mugshot was on Lubbock County mugshots, and yeah, it was quite the fun stuff.
I'm looking at last October's rankings for this race. Like 95% of the cars are Corvettes. And then somebody had a 2008 Ford Taurus.
It's probably an SHO. Probably a super fast car.
Probably was. But yeah, tons of Corvettes. A Durango. Somebody had a Durango.
Probably Durango RT or something. Like, oh, it might have been that,
The
Hellcat Durango.
The Hellcat Durango.
yeah, whatever that one was. That probably wouldn't be I mean, obviously it probably handles like a tank, but...
Average speed, so the fastest average speed was 150 miles an hour.
That is
average.
Cookie.
In a 2009 Corvette.
And there's how many curves on that?
This says 50 or like 49 curves in the last 50 miles. Yeah.
It's a fun road.
Yeah. And there's...
The thing of that road, it's deceiving.
Because there's like 25 mile an hour curves and stuff everywhere, isn't there?
Some places,
Yeah.
it's real wide. It's not your real narrow back road type deal.
Yeah.
I'm assuming they send them out in like waves.
Yeah.
I'd imagine like I'm sure they do some sort of qualifying, even in classes and stuff like that, and send them by.
I don't know the system on that.
Yeah.
There's several people in here from Pahrump, Nevada, so I'm guessing they probably sent a race team
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure.
from Ron Fellows.
I think still
A lot of the Corvette clubs in Texas
go
have
around
teams out there.
Yeah.
Midland Club, the Lone Star Horsepower Club.
I'm not seeing a single person on here from Lubbock.
Scott Dowd probably he'd be
Yeah.
shallow water.
Yeah. It's probably a shallow water guy. He goes every year.
Yeah, a lot of guys from Midland and Odessa. Man, all over the place. Las Vegas.
All the guys around here are just interested in roll racing or just cruising around the Sonic or
I'm serious.
older
I think I want to
Yeah.
sign up for this.
the older guys in the Corvette club. They don't even want it. Yeah, we just want to drive around.
Yeah. I'd say
If it's that cheap,
that's not bad at all.
I'm very interested.
Yeah.
Especially if I sign up as a rookie for $250.
Yeah.
Unless
I think it's
It doesn't-
two. I think it's $250 rookie fee, and then the class that you're going to be in is another,
Okay, so rookie orientation and qualifying is $250.
and that's mandatory attendance.
You do that. Then they have practice is a $200 fee for practice. Co-driver navigator is $200. And then I guess your classes. So then touring, grand sport, super sport, unlimited. Okay, so this is not gonna be cheap.
Well, you're $1,000 for the weekend.
More than that.
I think so.
Yeah, especially if I have a co-pilot.
Still worth it. Still be a good time.
I don't know. We're going down to Austin though this weekend to have
Yes, we are.
a little fun. That'll be.
What are we doing? You know more about it than I do. I'm driving the truck basically.
Yes, I joined a car club in Austin called Fast Lane Drive,
Okay.
and it's exotic cars only, and they're a little bit snooty, but joined. It's kind of a business networking philanthropic group, and they have a meetup every month, and they go to this weekend we're going to be driving from like West Lake Hills area down south to a vineyard winery and have lunch, and then back up to the hill country.
Oh,
So
interesting.
it'll be a fun little trip to Austin.
And then, how many people do they have signed up for it? Do you have any idea?
Not that many. It looked like maybe 10 cars for this event. They've got the Austin chapter has 80 members, but then they've got chapters of this same organization in like 15 different cities around the U.S. And so I can attend any event at any of the chapters across the U.S. if I was so inclined to travel.
And this is something that we're kind of having an idea of possibly bringing to Lubbock.
Yeah, I'm looking at starting a chapter for West Texas that would, yeah.
And what kind of cars are?
I mean, it looked like they kind of restrict it to, I mean, even within like BMW, Mercedes, it's got to be like an M5, a GT, AMG GT. Like it's usually pretty high end stuff.
Now, is it by area or by club restriction, or is it by the brand, basically the brand?
I think the brand, yeah.
Okay.
So that's definitely a good question. Now, the membership cost alone is going to exclude a lot of people.
Yeah, but I mean,
But yeah.
it's something that, especially if they're doing big events and mainly fun events that are enjoyable to go do. It's really hard at this point to even like exclude the C8 out of there.
I agree.
I'm trying to think, because the C8 is not on the list, correct? So they don't have the C8 on the list. They don't have. There's another couple of cars that I was like, wow, I can't believe that's not in there. What were the ones that we were?
I mean, I don't even think like a Viper was on the list.
Yeah, the Viper doesn't make the list.
Yeah.
Now, does a GTS Viper?
I don't think so.
Like, that's crazy to me.
Like, I don't think there was any domestic made
Does
cars on the list.
any Lamborghini fall into it? Any of them?
All of them.
All of them.
Yeah. Even an Urus. There's somebody in the group this weekend that's going to be in an Urus.
See, that's that's crazy to me.
Yeah.
Like, what's the price of the Urus compared to the C8?
Oh, the Uruses are like $250,000.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of some other stuff that I wanted to touch on before we kind of called it quits. You got anything else? How long have we been going?
Almost 2 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you got?
Nope. I can't think of anything.
No.
Where are you at on like getting your racing license?
Well, I've got my novice SCCA.
Okay.
Looking to upgrade, and it's just going to be more seat time
Yeah.
and a little bit more instruction.
Right.
This AP said he'd help me in any way that he could. Of course, that costs money.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But whenever I get my own car, we'll transition into that, so it costs a little bit less.
Right.
And
Do you have a sim? Do you do sim racing?
We were talking. We've gone down that road.
He's been hounding me about this, and I've been looking.
You got to. I mean, I'm assuming you realize it's not. What's the word I'm looking for? Don't look at it as unnecessary. Like, I think it's crucial. Like, especially with what you're wanting to do and the direction you're headed to. As serious as you are about it, I don't see it as a waste of time. Or I think it's definitely a valuable asset to develop your seat time.
I'm gonna do a kind of a free plug for somebody. Who is that? There's a company out of, what is it, West Texas Sim? It's part of Rosso Rally.
Our group, our sim racing group.
No, it's a guy here that builds sims. From my understanding, yeah.
I don't know if I know who that is.
Let me look him up real quick. There's a guy, I didn't even know this guy existed, but I think there's a guy around here he builds sims and sets people up with them and everything else. He's part of the Rosso Rally thing, I
Really?
believe. Yeah.
I don't know who you're talking about.
Right here. It's, maybe, is that just Aaron's thing, West Texas Sim Racing?
Yeah, West Texas Sim Racing is Aaron's group. We get on. I think we're on Wednesday nights at 8:30. We get on to race to get and it's not rated or anything. It's more just so that we can get on and race together as friends, just to have a fun little race night.
I was just hearing about a guy that sets up sim rigs and stuff around here.
I don't know if it's this guy, but the guy that set up the rig that you now have works for Eagle Canyon. And he drove down to Lubbock. He had sold another kit to another guy, and so he came down and brought that setup, and he fine-tuned it for me. And he's like,
that very well could be the guy that I'm thinking
maybe
of.
who you're thinking of. Honestly, though, after having that rig, and then now I just bought from Best Buy. Best Buy has it in stock. I just bought the Logitech G923. And then I bought the cheapest frame on Amazon. It's easy, plug and play, and like I wouldn't go spend thousands on.
You wouldn't go spend $15,000.
I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I think less, especially if you already have a computer that's fast enough. Now I did upgrade my computer. That made a decent enough difference once I got into a gaming computer with a really fast GPU. The refresh rate and the frames per second just smoothed everything out, and it wasn't bad before, but it just made it so much more enjoyable to play because it just got that much better. So I'd say, aside from whatever PC you used, you should be able to get a whole setup for less than $2,000. Easy.
Cool.
Yeah.
Maybe less than $1,500. Yeah, it's really not that expensive. It's gotten really cheap. Yeah.
I like our rig. I don't get on it enough.
Yours is a good, solid rig. It's a serious rig.
Make it an office toy.
I'm not opposed to it.
I had mine at my office, and I wouldn't use it because I was like, I'm ready to go home after a work day. I don't want to go all the way back up to the office. I'd rather have it at my house.
I've thought about it. I've thought about it numerous times, and I was almost on the brink of doing it, and then Gage did get it up and running a few weeks ago, and now he's back to It's his.
It is.
It's yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
glad it's getting used.
Yeah, yeah. I do need to get him getting. I need to get freaking licenses and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely. Now I do want to get over on Brandon's and just see the
How it compares.
difference.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, there's definitely benefits. I mean, if you got into what like very similar to what I have, you can add on, and this is where I think it'd be beneficial to you, and probably what you're saying is totally 100% true. But where I do think it'd be beneficial to you is like on my rig, you can buy a sequential shifter for the side of it. You can buy the clutch pedal, so you can basically build it to your car that you're driving, and be able to get actual seat time where you're going through the motions of downshift, upshift with the sequential, using the clutch to get started and stuff like that. And I do think that would be, especially if you have a purpose-built race car, I think that it would be worth spending the money and getting that.
It probably would. I will say this: probably the biggest benefit to sim racing is learning to hold your nerve when you're wheel to wheel and coming into a turn and you're trying to late brake on somebody.
Yeah.
And being able to develop that skill safely in a sim, so that when you get out on the track, then you've got that confidence of, I know exactly what to do here. I'm not going to cause a wreck. That's priceless.
Yeah.
Now, are you planning on doing any wheel-to-wheel racing in your car? Probably not in your car.
Probably not in that car.
Yeah. Any plans for the spec Corvette?
I'm looking.
You're looking.
I'm looking.
Here's...
There again, I give this advice of finding a car that's already built, but
yeah.
I'm looking for the right C5.
Yeah.
And we'll probably, if it comes along, do that.
Now, we talked about this almost the whole freaking way home from Dallas. Have you learned any more through talking to AP over the weekend and stuff like that, what you're looking for in a car, for the spec car? Because we're weighing the options. I mean, everything that I read and everything in my mind, the wheels turning and everything else, LS1 stuff gives you the advantage.
I didn't get into specifics with him about that. All of his cars, he's got 11 cars.
Uh-huh.
And all of them are Z06s.
Oh,
all
okay.
of them are LS6.
Really?
Yeah.
So obviously he's probably partial to that platform.
Yeah. And let's see what it was. 400-pound weight break.
Yeah, you got to add 400 pounds for the Z06.
Well, it's the Z06 minimum weight's 3,200 pounds, and what in the LS1 2,800.
Yeah, I think it's 2,800. So yeah, I mean you gotta, and that's what everybody was saying. Is the weight difference outweighs the horsepower difference by light years, or well, I didn't say light years, but it is I could see. I think, especially the type of racer I am with the karting and stuff like that, and riding motocross all my life, I could see my driving style. I would rather have a lighter car. I would rather have a lighter car than more horsepower, because I'm the type that if I have to finesse it, I get along better with that than if I have the extra horsepower. I'm going to try to, what's the proper word that I'm looking for? If I have it available, I'm just, I guess we're a podcast. We can do whatever. I muscle fuck everything, so it's, if I have the horsepower, I'm going to muscle fuck it around the track.
Well, being we're riding with AP.
Yeah.
That's you'll do that.
That's the gist of it.
I mean, cars going around the curve. With him, there's no pretty
Yeah.
pretty radius to it. I mean, if it steps out, it steps out, and that's what
Yeah.
he wants. And,
Yeah. And that's what he's just driving it overly aggressive. He's using the horsepower, and that's perfectly fine, but there's also, I mean, I think little less horsepower, a whole lot less weight. I think you get around the track at a little bit more of a finesse. It's more of and I think that's the biggest thing that I learned with karting is the keeping your momentum. Mm-hmm. And with that, I think if you use that principle with a lighter car and a little bit more finesse, you're going to keep more of that driving momentum where you're not trying to get it back with horsepower.
Yeah.
And I think the way that I am now, I would think I would enjoy that better.
I experienced, get close here.
Yeah.
I experienced 3 days of right on the edge.
Yeah.
And it's a workout.
Yeah.
It is a workout. The more finesse driving. That's my takeaway from, I got in the car with a professional race car driver.
Yeah.
I mean, this is what he has done for a living in the past. He's doing it as a hobby now.
Well, and he's still doing it for a living now.
And and my takeaway I was expecting a nice smooth, because I was in the car with the guys at Ron Fellows.
Yeah.
They were smooth, flowing.
Yeah.
AP's flowing, but in a rough way.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, and
I mean,
smooth is fast. That is, but what's interesting is you realize smooth from the appearance on the outside of the car is not smooth inside the car.
No, it's not.
Right. No.
It's not. It's not.
No.
I mean,
and I mean, I could see. Like I said, I think the LS1 platform, after everything, looking at it really, really good and hard and stuff, I think that's where I would lean more towards. And, because you're less horsepower, you're more finesse, you're probably easier on tires. So, especially getting into a spec Corvette class, that you're looking for the economical side of things. If you're got a bigger budget, you're not in the spec Corvette class.
No.
And being budget conscious, you're probably a little lighter on tires, not much, but you might save a little bit throughout a season. Then the biggest thing I think is getting into it is finding a Z06 compared to finding a C5 LS1.
Yeah.
You're probably 10 grand difference in just startup price if you're building. So I think there's a lot to be said there. And I mean, especially like the talk that we had, it's your second race car, so it's, do you go all in, throw the budget out the window to go spec Corvette racing, or, do it with what, with a budget conscious mind.
Yeah.
I mean,
their website says, I don't know if you've gone through their website.
I haven't.
So if you want to go racing and you don't want to go all in, just put the safety equipment in first and then come race with it.
Yeah, yeah.
Cage and fire suppression and
Yeah.
belts.
In belts and seat, yeah. Yeah. And that's I can't think of any more, I mean, outside of just autocrossing your street car, there's probably no cheaper racing out there.
Yeah.
It's, No, I like the class. I really, the more and more, I'm so glad that you invited me to the Facebook group that they have, because like watching all of it, I'm like, this is true grassroots racing. This is going out and having the time of your life, in a car that doesn't totally break the bank. Because everybody looks at motorsport, and I mean, every form of motorsport is just so outrageous these days. It's even all the way down to the karting level that, us racing the karts, it's expensive. Especially if you start running a state series or any of the series races, and you're trying to hit all the stops. I mean, the amount of money you have into, trailering the car, hotel rooms, tires, fuel, it's gotten, with the price of everything going through the roof lately, it's just getting so outrageous to where this is achievable by, I'd say, almost any white collar job if you want to go racing.
Yeah.
It's they had an estimate. What did they say the estimate was for a full season? You remember the numbers on that?
No.
It was, I thought it was less than 30,000, less than 20,000, something like that, excluding the car, of course.
Right.
I want to say it was somewhere in the neighborhood of that, if I remember right. There was a whole thread on that group that they were talking about it. They were like, you can do this for less than, I think it was like 20,000 or something a year, which, I mean, you can hardly do the state series here in Texas, and karting is TSRS. I think there's like 6 or 7 stops. You can probably hardly do that for less than 20 grand. It's probably in the neighborhood of 15. Because every race you go to, you're 5 gallons of fuel. You're 2-3 motors, probably one rebuild per year and then a fresh rebuild at the beginning of the year. So you're, and then you got tires.
How many tires do you go through?
Set of tires every weekend. Well, 2 sets of tires every weekend. Mm-hmm. So you're 400 there. You're on average, you're a couple thousand, $2,000-$3,000 per race times 7. So yeah, you're up there, and that's karting.
Yeah.
I mean, to have a car racing series that you're comparable to I think that's great. I think it's great that they're doing it. Like we also talked about on the way home there that weekend, it's like anything. I'm sure the more and more people involved and the more the class evolves, it's going to get more and more expensive as people get into that gray area, and is this allowed? And you got to we found a little advantage here. It's technically a stock part. You guys haven't ruled it out. You got to have this. And like you were saying, even there was weren't guys doing stuff to the transmissions and stuff already? They were getting into like clutches and transmissions and stuff, like different. I thought there was you had to have a certain transmission out of something, or it seemed like there was something in there that they were looking at. Oh, the shifter linkage. Shifter linkage out of what is it, a Z06 that's better, or a Grand Sport that's better, or something.
I think that's it.
Yeah, there was something along those lines. Like they're already starting to find little.
Oh yeah, the actual shifter itself. Out of a Grand Sport Z06.
Yeah.
Just
a better, so you're, money put into that, and so it's eventually gonna evolve, and there's gonna be, they're gonna find little stuff here and there that you're gonna spend money on, essentially to, it might be a tenth of a second here and there that.
Well, AP was talking about this weekend. He's one of the guys that's kind of pushing it, actually being able to put a C6 differential in to the C5 because the C6 holds up better than this old C5.
Yeah. But now you're looking at more cost.
Yeah. And John, the owner of the group, no, we don't want to do that, right?
Yeah. And it's one of those things that even if it holds up better, like it's still an extra cost to find one, and
Yeah.
but no, I think it's a great thing that they're doing with the class. You got anything else? I think it was pretty good.
Yeah, that was fantastic.
I can sit here and talk about racing all night. I can go down a whole another rabbit hole if we wanted to, but no, I mean that's I think the spec Corvette thing's a good thing coming up. I think it's I would love to get into it. We'll see what the future holds there. And I'm sure I'll be out there helping you out and things like that coming up. I think that's pretty much a wrap.
I think so. Thanks for having us. Thanks for
having
coming.
me.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Okay, y'all go home now.
Yeah, you lock up. Make sure you shut the lights off. No, I think that's it.
Can I get pizza delivered here?
Well, cool. Thanks. Yeah, well, I'm sure this probably isn't the last time we see you on the podcast.
Well, I'll come back. We'll talk about some of my adventures out at Aurora Seca.
Well, and that's what I'm kind of thinking. It'll be great to, we're getting that before the season springtime podcast in, and I think it'd be cool after, see what happens throughout the year and see where the car's at towards the end of the year, and some of the things it's done and accomplished and stuff that you've accomplished with it. I think that'll be a cool follow up. Mm-hmm. So, well, cool. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.
See you.